Hi, it's David here with Future Trading. I will not be before you long. I made a mistake on this video here by putting the wrong range times there, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the information that you need. I did try to plot it right below the video, but in the likelihood that you are not reading what's below the video, I'm going to put it in this video here so that way you'll know, hey, this is the range time and you can move with this information. I'm also going to incorporate the chart scale so you can actually see how the chart scale plays a major role in how your price is acting. Remember, that's a part of the universal concept. So there's four of them here. The universal threshold. I'll try to read some of this in real time with you with Bitcoin because it's moving. So give me a moment. We're going to do that, but I'm going to show you that chart scale in conjunction with these ranges. Universal threshold. This is how far the live candle will pull back before resuming. The price action trend, you just need to be able to count to 10 to get that to work. And then that price action method, I use the majority principle. And there's three different ways it shows up in the chart. And I'll show you what that looks like. And then that chart scale. This is the most important part of the video in relation to the ranges. And I'll show you what it looks like. And again, we look at that hard right edge. And you can trade right here. You don't have to go hindsight. Although I am going to show you the reference points in this video, you can look at that hard right edge and know that the market can become cyclical without having to look left. All right, so before we get into that, I'm gonna show you what Bitcoin is doing right now, and then we're gonna look at the we'll look at they should go down a bit more, but if they are going to come back up, they won't close. Let's say they won't close below this bar. Well, they may do it here, but then they may cycle back up. But yes, they should be getting ready to decline if they're serious. If not, they get ready to come right back up. Let's count what we have off the top, and then I'm gonna get into the other information. So we have one, two, three, four, and that's five here, six. Okay, they may be ready to make a trend down. All right, so if that's going to be the case, let me tell you what they shouldn't do, which bar they shouldn't get past. Of course, we have our no close bar here. They went above this. Hopefully, they won't go past here, but you can kind of see how they was playing with this threshold here and kind of fell out of it. So we really don't want them back up here. Let's just say that. And of course, if they're going to go down, I'm gonna do this really quickly so I don't be before you long. If we get 7, then we do this, and here you go. The moment you pull up the chart, you should be able to just easily do this. That's the whole purpose of the channel, is to inform you guys on how simple trading actually can be. Again, I've been doing this for a very long time, so we're not there yet. We need one more close, Lord. But if they're going to come back up, they should get ready to do that now. I don't suspect that they'll fall any further, but let's see. I'm gonna just put this here in anticipation that they'll make that other bar. All right, let's just kind of throw this, and it would clearly have to be like somewhere under that close. All right, so it would have to be here, and that would put them here. But let's just give it a second to see if it'll want to come back up. There's that pattern. We have it here, and again, I like to use the threshold actually on the colored bar. I like to use the threshold here. It's not to say that this one, that they can't use this one and move down. They can. I just like the one on the on the colored bar. That's all. It's the stop bar. So I definitely don't want them going past that. So that's kind of simple, right? So if they're going to come back up again, I just told you that they should get ready to move back up right now. All right. So let's move this out the way. We'll come back and take a peek at it in a moment. All right. We'll do that. And then of course I'm gonna show you the other stuff that I have on the channel if you're new. All right. So you're in the market for additional education. I do provide that. I trade live in all of these videos for roughly 10 hours there. I met the goal, lost money, met the goal. And then there's tons of information here. Absolutely tons of information. The information here in these videos with the asterisks is just an additional $100 if you want to view those videos. And again, so let's say 600. So 600 to come on board and view all these videos. All right. Now, I do have indicators if you want them. It works on the free version of NinjaTrader. So if you would like to use my indicators on a different platform, I'm sorry, you're placing your trades on a different platform, but you want to chart my indicators, you just need the free version of NinjaTrader. And so you'll get the indicators for $100. It's roughly about 300 indicators in there. You get templates, sound files, you get a lot of stuff. I want to tell you though, it's a follow the plot process. All right. So I don't do Q&A when it comes to that. Same thing here. That's personal training. So minus Q&A. I want to say that to you. So you can't receive my all of that time, because to do one-on-one with me, it's significantly more than $600. All right. So I want to make sure I express that to you. I don't mind answering an occasional question. I want to say that to you, but it's a follow the plot process. I cannot explain to you all of those indicators. That's training. All right. I just want to say that to you outright. So Let's look at the times. Again, I had got it wrong in the last video. Well, the this one I had did this one wrong, and I didn't notice it until after the video was over with. I was like, oh my goodness, I put the wrong time in there. But I was rushing trying to get that 9:30. And if you would like, definitely go back and look at this video, because right off that open, that was that reversal, and they went up significantly. All right, and I read all that to you from right here in real time. All right, and again, in the lessons that's in the private community, I trade 930. I trade the news. I did all of that one contract. No cheating, no leveraging up, no none of that. Did it with one contract, took my losses, got the money back, and met the goal to show you you have to use information and definitely apply structure to what you're doing. All right. So incorporated the chart scale inside of here. Inside of here, I incorporated that chart scale. Let's look at our Bitcoin real quick because this is trying to move a little bit. All right. So let's do this really quickly here. Did we get okay? This is our bar. Okay, so in all actuality, they tried to lift up, but it didn't work. All right, so I say it'll be something to this effect. Let me see if I'm right. All right, we're going to come back and look at this in a moment, but let me get through the ranges because I want to make sure you got that because I'm gonna be taking a break, people. Oh, already got it read. I'm gonna be taking a break from the channel for a bit. I paid a lot of information to learn the things that I know, and it's just a bit interesting having to come up here and really ask for support. I think that that's not fair to me and for the time that I'm spending marking up these charts. All right, so I'm gonna take a break, let you have time to digest this information. That's saying that they're going to get this far. If they didn't pass this threshold here, all right, that's not fair because we're actually just trying to partner with people that want to see the YouTube space offer something different that's not all the things that you don't need, which is a bunch of distractions. I don't know if you noticed that up here. This channel don't offer that. It don't offer that. And so when I come up here and I constantly have to request that you guys hit the like button or leave a comment, I paid too much money to the market to learn what I know, and I'm trying to share it for free, and that should be taken serious. So here we go. These are the range times. All right. Now I want you to pay attention to that chart scale as I scroll through the chart. I want you to look at the chart scale because this is really important. I know the ranges are important. I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing this for a very long time. But let me just scroll through this and you can look at the chart scale in conjunction with those ranges and you can see how dynamic the chart scale is. And again, it's all about what's cyclical that's happening in front of the candles. So when this market moves up or down, that chart scale is in front of the candles. It is absolutely in front of the candles. So you're not having to look left if you don't need to. You don't have to do it. So let me scroll through this again. Let me start from the back and then we'll work our way forward just a bit. I got about 15 days in here, but I'm not going to go through it all. All right. So they kind of stuck in between the two. And I did tell you with these ranges, when it overlaps, it's horrible. When these ranges are really close, it's bad because you're trying to stay beneath or above the center of the range. If you're a range trader, this would help. All right. And again, we already knew that this was here. All right. We already knew that. I know there's something wrong with this, but that's some other information. That's some other. See, they went past it. All right. But notice where they're bouncing. Notice where they're bouncing and when they're coming back to the center of the chart, coming back towards that center of the chart. There's the decline. Look at where they're coming back to. All right. See, center of the chart, bouncing at that lower half of the chart, raced up to the top of the upper part of your scale. Okay, so that's all we're doing. We're taking the center of the scale, okay? We're taking the upper portion of the scale and the lower portion of the scale. We're dividing it. That's it. Okay. We're above the upper portion, we're bullish. It's just that simple. If we can stay above the midpoint, did you see that? You stay above the midpoint, you can go again. So it'll help just narrow down where your focus need to be. That's all. And the chart do adjust, but the chart scale do not. And that's the most interesting thing about how to utilize the chart scale. You're using what they gave you. That's all. And so the charts, look at that. Look at that spike. Okay. You see that spike? Okay. Look, where did they stop? Look at where they're at. Look at how they're getting trapped right between there. And then they gap away from it. Look, they gapped way above the upper part of the scale, using it for support. Again, I paid the market a great deal of money to learn how to do this simple stuff. Nothing complicated. It's not convoluted with a lot of rhetoric. It's very simple because the market has to turn in front of you. I don't know if many of you really get the power of that. Unless you blink, you will absolutely see the market turn in front of you. So it's already kind of predefined that the activity will be visually, turning right here. You don't have to look to the left. It's visual. You're going to see it right here on this hard right edge. You're going to see it turn. And so what you got to decide is that when they made this frame, because that's all this is a frame. When they made this frame, they can't turn it outside of the frame. So now you have to consider if they're going to put it inside the frame, it's only but so wide the chart can be before producing a different effect. And of course, it takes time to get to one side or the other of the chart as well. And there's some additional things that I can tell you about this other information that they got going on when they are above it. When they're up here, it's some other stuff that I can tell you, or even when they're here or down here, there's some other things I can tell you that will kind of get you to know that it's going to get here or get there. It's going to do that. But just right out the box, look at this activity. Okay, did you see all of this back and forth they did here? Came down to the upper the upper portion of the chart, bounced back there again. Okay, now look at the chart adjusting. It's bringing price under it. Okay, all right, so that's that. All right, now let's these zones. Let me tell you about them zones so you'll know. But before we do so, let's bring back our Bitcoin so you can take a peek. They ran back in our zone, right back into this zone here, and they're falling back in this direction. Now, let's see. Let's just see if they plan to make it down here. Let's just see. But those zones, let me tell you about those zones so you'll know. That's just the daily. There's a couple zones on the daily. I told you guys, there's a chance. These are static levels. I went over these levels before. That's why I'm able to tell you that they should get up here to here. If they're going to keep trending up, they'll get here. I told you guys they should make that. But they got here and they just, hammered it a bit and then of course, dropped down. These zones going into next week, they're important. They're important. So if they're going to let's just say if they're going to hold this bar, we want them to stay above this threshold. We do. We absolutely do. Got a couple. We don't want them way back here. That's crazy. So hopefully, if they are going to hold this bar, they shouldn't pass. Let's say what this price is. Let me just get my crosshairs to give you an estimation. Let's say somewhere at 824, somewhere in that area there. Hopefully, they got a problem on the back of this bar though. I will tell you that. Hopefully, they can bust through that and then just head back up. All right. So that's what those zones are that you're seeing. All right. That's those zones right there. All right, but again, the chart scale, that's important. You see what they did. They got right to the center of the chart, tried to get above it and hold it on Friday, but they managed to, of course, come back below it. All right, so don't know what that may turn into. We don't know. Now let's take a look at this Bitcoin just a little bit here, and then I will absolutely let you go. I don't want to be before you long. Again, just want to give you the range times because I knew that there's a chance. All right, let's see if they can stay down from here. I'm not worried about them reaching all the way back up there now. So let's see if they can just stay here and just push right through some of this information. Let's see. If not, we'll probably see them bounce up now. But I don't think that's it. I think they could drop down a bit more. But let's see if they'll just push right into that area and then fall down beneath the center of the chart. They should. They absolutely should. They should. Let's see. Had just a small. I thought that just maybe they'll want to lift here. I mean, they were right in this threshold. That kind of makes sense. Just to respond. Now, them staying up, that's a whole nother thing. I knew they, had that problem up here. So let's see. They're above the center of the chart here, so they could lift up. They can lift. Let's see what they do. That's all we got to do here is just see if they can lift up. But let's see if they'll just come right in here and turn back over. And again, I really like the thresholds on the colored bars. That's what I like. But we we really don't want them to get too far at this point. If they're going to try to get beneath the center of this chart, you don't really want them going but so far. Just poke their head up, and I knew that they'll do this. That's why I put this here. I knew that they'll do that. That kind of makes sense. And let's see if they'll just kind of drop back down. If not, they'll reach up here, and then that would be a problem. It's not to say they won't turn around and fall again, but that would definitely be a problem. All right, so clearly they're trying to take out this threshold. Now, let's see if they'll come right back through this. Let's see. All right, so they took out this threshold. That sucks, but it happened. Let's see if they'll come right back through here. Kind of like the same ordeal that they did here. Let's see if they'll come right back through it, come back below this. All right, let's see if they'll bring it right back through. There's a lot of people that probably jumped in this and said, "Hey, let me go with these guys," but you don't want to do that. See, you had a trend set here. Okay, let me move this over on that. Okay, so you had your trend set here, but your move to the upside came in, but we're down. We have a downtrend here. I do understand we're getting closer to the center of the chart now. The three different ways to look at majority is this: you get your larger wick with your smaller wick. Now that's one way. Then you get your smaller body with your larger body. Now, the thing that's making for the colored bars, because the increase is going to show that. So the DTT increase is the indicator I have. And then, of course, the colored bars is the DTT, no touch, no close. And I do have pressures that'll fire off should this happen. So if the mid exceeds the high, if the mid exceeds the low, the live candle, this is the live candle. If that happens and the bar closes, this bar will turn green or red. Just depends on which one it's taking place. This is your wick zone. Now that's the thing we're referencing, just like I told you that, it can do this here. And I do believe it can, it can, and that's why I say they may roll back over. They may just do that. They did it here. It's a trend. It's a trend. So they can roll back over. Now I do see that color bar is there. I see it here. I do. I get that. But it's a trend. So just put it in context. It's a trend. Even though they're at the upper part of half of the chart, they can pop up. I do know that. That's simple to understand. But staying up, well, we got to see because they put that trend in place. They put that trend in place. All right, so come on back down. Kind of figured that that'll be the case. Come on, yeah, go ahead and break back past this. Let's move down a bit more now. Let's see how much further can they come. I do suspect that they're going to go past this. I do. You may get a reaction right after they do it, though. You may. You may. Or they may accelerate. Let's see if they can just accelerate right through this as well. Let's see if they can do that. Yeah, there we go. There's the turnaround. That kind of makes sense. So they didn't make it to the zone. They just couldn't get up there. And that's fine. Sometimes that will be the case. Like here, they made it and they had all components there. So they had the big wick, no wick. That's fantastic. This body can fit in there twice. That's the only caveat. You got to get that body to fit in there twice. And then, of course, the mid fell beneath the low. All of it is here. All of it showed up. All right. So that kind of makes sense. You had all of it here as well, but it's in the wrong direction. This is a downtrend. So we kind of just want to go with that, just trying to go with that. You had the wick, no wick. So that makes sense. That's the large wick, small wick scenario. This body can fit in there twice. Okay. And then the midpoint got above that high. So all the components is there. But now you're getting it on this side. Now what you do, you'll do this because it's showing up here as well. That puts them here. Now let's go with the threshold here. I want to make this video short. I don't want to be up here long, people. I really don't. I don't want to take up your time. I want to make sure to just get some information that's useful and that it works. All right. You got the big wick, no wick, body can fit in there twice. Okay. The mid fell beneath the low. So you got all three of these things showing up. So that's just fantastic to keep this down. Now, if they're going to lift up, clearly they're coming back up here. They're getting closer to the back of the chart. So they may want to lift up and come back up here. They may and then drop. Hopefully they just push right on down to this target here, and that'd be it. Hopefully they'll get that done. Hopefully that'll get that done. But I'm gonna give you guys again some time to digest what's on the channel. If you need anything with the indicators or the additional education, should you want to go that far, just email me. That's all you got to do. Just email me, and I'll be sure to respond back to you concerning that information. But again, only if you're serious. All right. So don't email me wanting to ask me a bunch of questions, but you're really not interested in actually moving forward. All right. Because I value my time. So be certain that you are interested. That's all I can say to that. Be certain that you're interested. All right. Let's see. Yeah, they may lift up. That's what they've been doing. So we're gonna treat it as they've been doing. They lift up and then they push. So this kind of makes sense that they're lifting up. Let's see if they can hold right below that threshold and turn back down. All right, so the majority is kicking in again, and they did it here. They did it here. It didn't work. It's kicking in again. You see the pressure's firing off, saying, "Hey, we're going to come back up." Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, because we got all of it here. We got all of it here. So let's see what this does. Yeah, I didn't think so. All right, so now it should get here. And so you will want to try to master getting 1 bar. Now I said that in this video here. All right, so to trade professionally, you don't have to take a lot of trades. That's just crazy. Don't do that. You don't need a lot of exposure dealing with markets. You want to kind of get in and get out the way. Don't give them a chance to get the money that you made. So if you're using this information, you make profit. You're in profits. Don't keep playing the game for them to take your money back. At least let it get to your account. Okay, let it get to the account. Give you some time to think about it. Again, I told you this stuff affects the limbic system. So sitting there and your adrenaline is going, and you're trying to make money, but your emotions are all over the place until you get the time under your belt to kind of just do this and remain calm, because that's important. Just remain calm. You don't want to keep interacting with this stuff, because eventually you'll take the loss, and that will impact you emotionally if you were up. So you want to kind of just, if you're up, if you're able to make the money that you need in your first trade or two, exercise some discipline. Just show up the next day and do the job again. That's all. It's simple. It's not complicated. Doing the best that I can to encourage you guys to see it as the thing that you were doing before you learned about trading. So whatever your career was that you were doing before you learned of trading, come to this and do the same. Just do the same thing. You probably didn't want to stay at work forever. Think about it. When you had your career, and if some of you are fortunate enough to come away from that, you didn't want to stay there all the time. You didn't ask for extra work. That's what made you want to do this. And so don't do this and then say, "Hey, I want to be on here all day long and I want to place a lot of trades." Don't do that. It's just a job. That's all it is. It's a job. If you're filing taxes, it's a job. All right. So don't make this something that it's not. Let's see, can they get there? And then I will absolutely let you go. Let's look at this Bitcoin on our ranges. Let's do that. Let's do that real quick while they're doing that. All right. So let's turn this to Bitcoin and let's take a peek. Let's see where they're at. All right. So yeah, so they're at the center of the chart, roughly, give or take here. There's our ranges. Let me kind of bring this back in frame while that's happening. Nothing changes. I'm gonna just kind of sit this side by side so you can see it. This is where they're at. All right, so they're here with the ranges and the chart scale, kind of one and the same. Let's see, can they get to this target? Which, what is this? It's 31. That's not too far. Yeah, that's just below that pivot. So that's just below here. So that kind of makes sense. Let's see, can they actually get there? Let's see, can they get there? I know they're taking their sweet time. This the only thing about looking at Bitcoin, is that they take so long to get where they're going. They're at the center of the chart. I knew they'll clip that. I'm trying to see if they'll take this out as well. But if not, yeah, they're going to try to bounce. You're getting all of it here. You're getting all of it if it's going to, fill that bar. But we haven't made this distance, nor have we gotten to that trend. So let's just project this forward. Okay. I suspect that they'll make this. I do. I absolutely believe that they'll make this. Even though here's the center of the chart, I think they'll make this. I do. I thought that they was going to give us all of it again with our wicks, our bodies. Oh, they might. They just might. I know they're at the center of the chart. I just anticipate that they might want to blow this, but I could be wrong about that. Now, let's see if they get ready to turn it back around and drop it right back down on the suspecting people that want it to get long. It would make sense if they want to do that. Here's your bigger wick. We can come in with hardly any wick on the back of it. If we can do that, that'll be the beginning of it. And then we just need to get that midpoint to fall beneath that low. If we can put all of that in play right now. And again, this is where you would read those three different things. Let me kind of throw that back in here for you so you can see it. You would utilize these components here in real time. There's not any information that I'm aware of online. I looked around a bit. Uh, that's showing you how to read real time, how to look at real time and interpret that the majority. Now, this is the fundamental principle of majority, that the minority is compelled to follow, so they're forced to follow you. Okay, so it's important that when you read the real time, that you find majority while it's in motion, while the chart is actually moving. All right. Now there's not a lot of people online that's disclosing this kind of information. And so it's just really interesting again to have to constantly request support, for our community, because we want to get people that need help here. People need help. We want to get them here. And I'm not paying. I'm not going to pay to have people come here because already, again, people come here and they're not supporting. I actually have to pay for the ability to deliver these videos, and so I'm really trying to help. And this is the side that's kind of ugly about delivering content, is that you want to help people, and they don't, of course, see the significance of what that is. And oftentimes, it's only because if you're not making money in trading, you wouldn't understand the value of time. Okay, because time is an allotted portion at your disposal suitable for a purpose. Now, if you are making money in trading, you're just a selfish individual if you're not willing to help others. But for the most part, some people that don't contribute, that's here, if you're not generating income and living off of this stuff, you wouldn't understand what it is to actually, support someone that's sharing their time and their knowledge with you. And that's the thing, that it's like fighting an uphill battle. I don't want to have to keep doing it. So I take breaks. That's all. I take a break from it. And hopefully this video will find you well, and that you find what it is that you need on the channel, because everything I'm promoting here is free and it will work. I'm showing you that in real time, almost in all videos, that everything that I'm showing you, it works in real time and it's free. The additional information that I offer is for those that's serious about their education, and know that when you're in this space, there's no sectioning off, so you don't get to be with beginners or intermediates. It's all professionals. I had to learn that. All right. So if you're serious about your education, you wouldn't just settle for free. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. You got people that go to college because they take their education serious. They take it serious. They almost there. They ran the pivot, which that kind of makes sense. I'm glad that they went on and took care of that. So, but I did want you guys to know the times, because I absolutely was rushing in that last video, and I managed to leave. I put the wrong time on the overnight range. I put the wrong time there, and I want to make sure that you have that. All right, so I'm not going to hold this video any longer. They're at the center of the chart. I think they can get this. I do. I do. I think they can get this. They're coming close, but I believe it's there. Uh, I believe they can make this. It may come in here and push down and hit it, but I don't want to hold this video much longer. Let's see if they'll do it here. I see the bigger wig. We just need a smaller one. That's not working out, and this direction is actually coming from below. So they definitely may reach up here. They're just below the center of the chart. And so they can end up back up here. They can if they swing up. They're going to come up here. I don't think they'll stop here. Because just because of where they're at, I do think that if they wanted to swing up, they may not stop here. They may be difficult about it, come back up here only to, do this. Now, if they can just keep the pressure on this, they'll absolutely go ahead and hit this now without any hesitation. And then from there, they probably would try to accelerate and get down here. But yeah, that's my time with you. Again, I wanted to ensure that you had the information that you needed. Let me make sure I put those range times back in view for you so you'll know. So we got our 12:15 a.m. Eastern time, and then of course that's 1:45. This is where I made that mishap there. 1:45 a.m. Then the 6:15 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. All right, so that's what we're doing with that information there. All right. Now let me show you your NQ because I'm pretty certain you guys gonna want to know what's happening with that when it comes up. We're kind of just sitting midway here, so we're just sitting midway. They are coming off the center of the chart here. All right. Now this is some additional information that I have when it comes to these zones. Don't worry so much with that. And these zones, let me tell you something. These zones are made that day, and it doesn't take price running all the way down the board in order to know that this is important. You can know this is important right in this area. Just this is important, and they lean right into it, and then bang. Same way with this zone here. Same thing. You can know this is important right in this area right here, and they leaned over and bang. All right, same thing right here. Same thing. All of these zones up here, same thing. So when you see me post the zones on the charts in the daily, I want you to know that's for that day. Like while the bar is actually moving. This is not when the bar finish and then you go and do that historical look left and see where they rallied from the area real strong. You got a lot of traders that do that stuff. You don't have to do that. There's some things that the market does that's telling you that it's strong right now, not later, but right now. All right. So I wish you all the best with your trading. Take care.